and welcome back. My name is Shannon. This is Made by Boo, and it's been a couple weeks. I don't think I quite realized exactly how long it was going to be. Oh, I almost forgot to close the background light, so hopefully the lighting just got better, not worse. But yeah, it's been a couple weeks, and let's go ahead and dive right into it. I have no works in progress, no finished objects, but I do have 4 works in progress. I do have some life stuff to talk about, and I do have some acquisitions and future plans that I will go ahead and jump with. So, no finished objects, we'll dive right into works in progress. Alright, so the first work in progress I have is in this bag. I did do a bag shuffle a little while ago, so nothing looks quite the same. This is the pair of socks that I have. This was made using leftover yarns from a couple of different projects. Both of these colors happen to be So Happy Jane, but I don't have the labels anymore, so I don't remember what color they were. The green I know I used with a twisted t-shirt. I believe I did the sleeve ribbing for it. And then the purple was, I think that one might be Mountain Sunrise. Both of them came from a subscription, so neither of them are easy to grab sock colors again. So this is the only pair of socks I've been working on for a while. As you can see up here, I didn't have very much going the last time we showed. That would be almost 3 weeks ago. And then I got these started when I did and finished the cuffs so that I could take them to a movie because I had nothing else to work on that was a nice, easy in the round. And I just kind of mostly let the movie choose how long the socks would be. We went to see Project Hail Mary, so longish movie, longish sock. And then I did do a slip stitch heel, and I have completed the gusset. I need to do a little less than 10 more rounds before I switch, and I'm going to do a purple toe as well. The pale green and the purple, I don't know, it just made me feel very springy. I really thought I would have this entire pair of socks done by now. I'm still on the first sock. I thought I would get a whole bunch of this sock done while I was traveling with my husband for 10 days. I got nothing done on it. When we started traveling, I was like almost done with the gusset, and I worked on other stuff the whole time, and so everything since then is what I've done just before work since getting back. So I'm hoping to have this sock finished soon and started on the next sock. I just haven't been feeling the socks much this year. They've been a very, very slow project to get going on. So that is work in progress number 1. The next one, sorry, try to keep them out from being right underfoot. The next one I have is also one I haven't made a ton of progress on. So this is my, I thought the needles were falling out. My scrappy Jethro Cardigan. So the Jethro Cardigan is a combination of crochet and knitting. I knit a bunch of granny squares. I know I've talked about this one before because somehow I managed to have 2 of the exact same yarn very close to each other, even though no other squares are the same. I'm not going back and undoing it, but it still baffles me how I managed to do that with one color and get them both on the back without noticing. So you granny square, do a bunch of granny squares. I did all of mine just one solid color because I was doing it so scrappy. A lot of people do the different rounds. It's all up to you. Then you crochet them together, and then the sleeves are knitted, and it needs a knitted bottom ribbing and button band. And I got started on the bottom ribbing 2-ish weeks ago, but I chose not to take this as a project when I was traveling because I felt like it was a little bit too big, too bulky, too close to being done, but also I do have one more skein of my joining and sleeve yarn. This is Cascade Heritage. I do not remember the exact color. I had 2 skeins in stash, which is part of why I chose this color, but then I realized I was going to need more because the calculations were not correct. So it's Cascade Heritage, held double. This is how much I currently have wound up. I have one entire whole skein left, but everything is still a mess in my house, so winding it would be a little bit of a pain. And I really didn't want to leave with a big project that was close to being finished but might not have enough yarn to finish. And I also didn't want to wind this extra skein up if it turns out I don't need it, because when I got the 2 extra skeins, I figured if I don't use it, it'll be great for a bunch of different projects. So winding it up if I'm not going to use it doesn't make sense. But also, leaving out of town for 10 days with something where you're pretty sure you don't have enough yarn and it's going to take up this much space also doesn't make sense. So this has been backburnered for a couple of weeks. I'm thinking it's going to move forward in the rotation soon. My entire knitting and crochet and making in general routine has been thrown off lately, partially because of traveling, partially because my youngest is traveling. Like, every single part of my routine has been thrown off for the past, like, 5 to 6 weeks-ish. So we'll get back to a normal routine, but while I have been on this current routine, I've only been working on one project primarily at a time. Like, I'll do a little bit of my socks and then one other project, and that's about it. So I'm thinking this one might move forward after I finish the one that's kind of the main project right now. But we'll get into that a little bit more as we talk about the one that's currently the main project. Okay, and for anybody who was worried, no, I did not throw that basket. I did take a pause and go set it carefully out of the way. So I only have 2 more works in progress left. This is going to go kind of quick because, I mean, most of them you haven't seen a lot of progress. This one, you will see a lot of progress. So this one is the Calico Quilt Shawl. I am working on this one using the Chelsea Advent Calendar from 2025. It was themed a weekend in London, a London holiday, something like that. And as I moved from England a few years ago, I really loved that theme, and I had been wanting a Chelsea yarn, so it last year, it all just kind of came together. I've already over-ordered on Advent calendars for this year. They really need to stop having really good themes, because there's a couple more that I'm like, you're killing me. You're killing me. I want that one too, but also I don't need more. I need to look at the current economy and look at the current stash pile. And anyways, so when you last saw this, the Calico Quilt Shawl it is somewhat designed to be used with an Advent calendar. I'm sure you could do it scrappy or even just all in one color if you really wanted to, or you could get creative, but it is using 25 different triangles. You start down on the corner and then you do a triangle, do another triangle, and you're picking up everything and going as you go, which is very interesting. So when we last showed this, I was on this bottom row. This would be color 8. I had started color 8, so since then I finished color 8, finished color 9, finished color 10, 11, 12, and have started on color 13. Color 12 was definitely interesting because you're starting it down here and you're joining it on both sides. I have never done anything like that. Like, some of the joinings as it is were already a little bit like different for me. But this is not working up at all how I expected because of like the shape. Like, you can see that this is kind of a squarish. I just assumed these were like, I'd seen the picture and just my brain instantly went to, we're starting at the tip of the triangle and we're doing mitered squares. Like, that's it. Just mitered square. And somehow in my mind it was like, this is very clearly not a mitered square. But like, it is and it isn't. I don't know. But that was my thought, is that it was just going to be simple mitered squares where you do half and then it is not worked up how I imagined. It is garter stitch. It is not, in spite of the fact that the pickups, including picking up in 2 different directions at once, is different than what I've worked on, it is not difficult. I did do a lot of this on the road while I was traveling. I mostly kind of backburnered it a little bit while traveling because I was working on the last project that I'll show you in a minute here, and just kind of wanted to see how much progress I could make on that, and this one got backburnered a little bit. I have thought about picking it up a little bit more again just because of variation and getting through another color and things like that, but I have not yet. I've made a lot of progress. I'm really enjoying it, and I did technically make it a little bigger than the pattern says, because the pattern does give instructions on how to alter the size to make it bigger. I assume you could alter the size to make it smaller in a similar way. And while I don't know for sure, I suspect I'm going to get what I want with like the really wrap and closey, because this This is the bottom length, and I haven't blocked anything. So blocking usually makes things get bigger. So yeah, I still do know, I am still very aware that I'm going to have an issue when I get to the end because the advent calendar I'm using has 24 colors. This shawl has 25, but again, I have plenty of leftover yarn. I'm just picking, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where are you? Where are you? Whew. Stitch stopper just fell off before I put it back in. Sorry. I am leaving the decision of the last color to be future me's problem because at that point I'll be looking at the entire shawl and I feel like I'll have a better idea of what color will fit in then when I see everything together. So only one more work in progress, and this is the one that I would say got the absolute most work. I did a lot of work on it on the road. I did a little bit of work on it since getting back. It's not as impressive the work that I've done since getting back. But this is a twisted t-shirt. It is using yarn from the Little Wolf Knits from her Wicked collection. Okay. I had to double check which color was which and what the color names are. So, when you saw it 3-ish weeks ago, I was right here on the ribbing. This color is, this green for the ribbing is One Short Day. The rest of it is Wicked through and through. And look at how far I am. So I was halfway through the front ribbing. Normally I would finish the first skein of yarn and then I would have done the sleeves, but because I was on the road, it made more sense to just keep going on the body. And I am now 5 rounds into the twisted ribbing at the bottom. I'm probably going to do about 20 rounds. That's like the collar is 20 rounds. I think 20 rounds at the bottom is what I've done when I've done this shirt in the past. And then I'll do 20 to 25 on the sleeves. So I've got a lot of twisted ribbing to do. And maybe that's part of why I'm getting burnt out, is I've been working on this one project almost exclusively for 3 weeks. I did do other ones and I traveled, but most of my time has been on this one. But now all I'm left with is a whole bunch of twisted rib and sewn bind off. That is one of the many, many reasons why I like doing the sleeves before I finish the body. There's a lot of reasons, but one of them is knowing that like I don't have to come back and do the sleeves, and now I do have to come back and do the sleeves, which is a little bit sad. But I'm so close to finishing it. I'm trying not to let myself burn out completely because I'm at that like, you're so close, just power through phase, but also I don't entirely want to power through. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. So I'm thinking like for the rest of this weekend, I might do kind of a little bit of this, but also a little bit of something else to try to keep myself both making progress, but also not feeling like I can't work on anything else. What that something else will be, I'm thinking I might work on some embroidery. I have a work sweater, and I've got some little like stick-on embroidery things where I could do, the current plan is to do a flower and then some little bugs crawling along the arm. I work with children. I think they'll really like that. And so that might kind of be my second project this weekend, where this is still my primary knitting project, but I have something else that I'm focusing on as well. So that is all of my works in progress. So that kind of puts me into talking about goals and how I'm doing for my year-long goals. We are in the middle of June, so we can kind of look and see about halfway through. And if I'm getting what I want to do done, as well as the things that I am not doing, why? So yeah, let me go ahead and grab those notebooks. Okay, so my 4 main goals for the year. Use more yarn than I am buying, or at least prioritize the yarn I already have. Every single project I just told you about has yarn that I had before the year started. So I'm still trying to focus on making sure I am using yarn that I already have. I also wanted to increase working on garments. 2 of these, non-sock garments. 2 of these I would consider garments, a shirt and a sweater. I don't really think of shawls as garments, but so I am increasing my wearables, and I do have at least one more pattern I really want to make, but I'm not sure that it will fit in well with the don't buy more yarn. We'll see. I'm trying to finish these up first. So, and then I feel like there was one other big goal. Oh my goodness. I may have to go back and look at old videos. Some of the projects that I have been working on lately. So in May, I did finish a pair of socks. I got 7 triangles on the calico quilt. Oh, that was the other thing. Making sure I'm prioritizing scrap yarns, because last month in May I did finish my granny stripe blanket. I actually brought it with me when I traveled, and there was a couple of times that it was so comfortable and cozy, and it's nicer than a hotel blanket when you just want something over your lap. So technically speaking, my Jethro is a scrappy project. I don't consider advent calendars to be scrappy projects. When I'm talking about scrappy projects, I mean genuinely leftover yarn. So like, I still have this bag right here. I've been doing the Wicked through and through. When I finished to how long the shirt should be, this is how much I had left in my basket. So this will be weighed and added to a pile with other yarns of a similar weight so that it can be used in different projects. So I currently technically do have 2 projects that are using leftover yarn. One is the Jethro Cardigan and the other is my socks. I think after the Jethro Cardigan is done, my main use of leftover yarns for a little while might just be socks. I'm not 100% sure. I've had a couple of other ideas for projects. One of the ones I really wanted to make this year was the rest vest, but I've got enough other big projects going. I'm not really feeling very motivated to start that one with scrap yarn right now. So we'll see if I come back to that one, if I decide I want it. Maybe I'll decide I want it, but I don't want to use leftover yarn so I can do bigger chunks. I don't know. I have been making sure that I am using my leftovers, and I have completed the granny stripe blanket. I'm almost done with the Jethro Cardigan. What else was it I worked on with? That was a big scrap project this year. I feel like there was one other I did that was a really big one. Maybe not. I have not really been working on my coziest memory. I did make a conscious choice in the month of May to not work on that one. I knew that we were going to have people visiting and then we would be leaving, and I knew it would be chaotic, and I decided that that was one thing that I could let go for the month of just don't even look at that one. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. Now that I'm back and I'm settling back in, there's a part of me that's like, I need to pick it up back again, but I'm thinking I might pick it back up in July and focus on bringing down the number of projects that I currently have. I mean, it's only 4. That's not that many, but 3 of them are very big. So I might just be kind of focusing for the rest of the month on trying to bring that number down and then pick up the coziest memory again. I've already been working on it for like 2 years. Last year I made the goal of trying to work on and complete at least 1 square a week, and I made it like 6 months on that. This year it looks like I made it 5 months, and I'm just going to make sure that I try not to just put it back down. I'm just not sure the coziest memory will ever be one of those blankets that I work on full time. That's just, I don't know, not entirely my thing. So yeah, as far as finishing projects, this month is not looking great so far, but I am pretty close with the Twisted Tea. The Jethro is really very close to done, with it just needing all that ribbing, and it's fingering weight held double, so since that's DK weight, it's going to technically go pretty fast. The other goal that I have been tracking, I do have my little Knit Notes binder here. Every month I have been doing a separate page for the month for like yarn in, yarn out. At the beginning of May, I had 308 full skeins of yarns based on the yarn count I got when I did an inventory a little while ago. I have also been trying to use like a tracker in here, but the tracker that I have, like the spreadsheet I have, is showing significantly different numbers. I kind of like the idea of the spreadsheet, but also I'm not sure that it's accurate. And as everything has been in a big upheaval, I'm not sure. Like, I think there was still yarn that I needed to input into the system, but I don't know where any of that is anymore. But at the beginning of May, I had 308. I got 1 yarn from Hypnotic Yarn because I do get Yarnable. Did not complete any skeins. Did not buy any other skeins. And so far for June, that's the same. So currently, like halfway through June, I'm at 310 according to this. The big issue with some of that is, like, I have almost 3 skeins into the Jethro. This is 3 skeins into the twisted t-shirt. I'm not counting, like, skeins as far as the socks or the mini skeins in the advent calendars as individual skeins. Only 100 gram skeins is what I'm counting. So when I finish these 2, those are going to come out, and I think that's going to bring my number down a lot. I was working on big projects, like no skeins came out when I finished the granny stripe blanket, even though the granny stripe blanket is huge, but it was all scraps. That is kind of one of those things that I'm wrestling with a little bit, is when I'm finishing these big projects that take big amounts of yarn, but also don't count towards skein removal because they're leftovers. It's a whole different ballgame there. I don't know, unless I want to weigh how much the blanket is at the end or anything like that, I don't really have a good idea, and I get that some people do that. That just doesn't feel like quite that feels way too much commitment for me. I don't want that level of finickiness with things. I just kind of want to know, like, am I prioritizing what I have? Am I letting stuff sit in boxes where I forget it exists? Or am I making time for these colors that I have selected and at one point loved? And right now, that is what I am doing. I am making sure that I am using the curated collection I have. So that is how, that is where goals are sitting. I'm going to go ahead and grab my pile of acquisitions so that I can tell you a little bit about life stuff, show you what I got, and the big new projects I have to work on with it, and kind of talk a little bit about some of the other projects and planning that I want to have. Okay, so this is going to all be kind of mixed up with life stuff and acquisitions and plans. So, a couple of weeks ago when I last filmed, I believe my daughter had just finished her graduation and people had left, and my husband and I were getting ready to go on our trip. So I had planted my garden, and my husband and I were going to go on a road trip. Somehow in my mind, we were going to be gone 9 days, but only 1 weekend. So I didn't really plan for the extra weekend where we would be gone, and I wouldn't have a video for that. So I am sorry, but here we are. I did do a lot of shorts. Hopefully you enjoyed them. If you did see them, then you know what my husband and I did is we were traveling on this big road trip, just the 2 of us, through 4 different national parks as well as national monuments. So we started driving from near Boise all the way up, like, I don't know, it was like 12 or 13 hours to Glacier National Park. Absolutely gorgeous. We got up really early in the morning. The whole road to the sun was not open entirely yet because we got there a little too early in the season. We would like to go back at some point and see that, but we just weren't able to do the whole thing. And instead we did a hike up to Avalanche Lake. Absolutely gorgeous. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Go early. Carry bear spray. We didn't see any bears there, but they recommend carrying it, and I personally at least just felt better knowing we had it. But go early because we got out there to see the sun still rising over everything. Like, it was up enough we could see everything. But also, as we were leaving, a bunch of other people were coming, and I am certain that lake was not as peaceful at that point. While we were at Glacier, we were just kind of going through. I personally love, like, kitschy little tourist shops. I love the stupid little tchotchkes. I get it, and that's not cool for everyone, but I love going in and seeing the super cheesy everything. That doesn't mean I'm going to buy it all, but I still enjoy those places. Well, I found something at Glacier National Park while I was there, which is a counted cross stitch. They had the pattern and the kit. I went all the way for the kit because I figured that saves me a whole bunch of gathering stuff. For Glacier National Park, where it's got mountains and mountain goats and trees, and it was an absolutely gorgeous thing, and I just thought, this is a big trip for me and my husband for our 25th wedding anniversary. I wonder if I can find a kit everywhere. I have no idea when I'm going to do them. I was aware of that when I bought it, that this is going to be a big kit. It says it is 150 by 200, I'm assuming squares, and its complexity is hard. So, here we are. But it does, the kit does come with the patterns, threads, cloth, 3 needles, needle threader, and then it also says embroidery clippers and crane scissors. So it's a pretty nice kit to get all that stuff in it. So I got that. It was like, I wonder if the other national parks are going to have some sort of a knitting set. Or, cross-stitch, embroidery, whatever set. I wonder what else I can find, if I can get something fun from everywhere. Well, after Glacier, we went down to Yellowstone. We saw bears, deer, so many bison. We got to see, like, a big grizzly bear off in the distance. While we were there, a very nice person let us, like, look through their telescope because we were not prepared for that. And then they also adjusted their telescope so we could see a bald eagle. Like, I wouldn't even have known to put the telescope that way. It was so far away, but it was very, very cool. And then we got to see, like, a little black bear that, not like a cub, but a little bit very youthful, crawling around up there. And then at another point we were leaving when we found a grizzly, again, not a cub, but a very young one. We got to see Old Faithful. We got to see so many things. We definitely want to go back to Yellowstone next summer and bring any of the kids that'll go with us, because this trip was just us. They did not have a cross stitch, but they did have an embroidery. So this one, it's got, bison, moose. We didn't get to see a moose. We were a little sad about that, but also it's fine. Old Faithful, some sheep, and then an interesting take on the Grand Prismatic. It's a printed one, so it should be a decently easy one to do. So at that point, it was like, woohoo, 2 out of 2, doing great. From Yellowstone, we went down to the Grand Tetons, not actually that far. There was some hiking and boat riding that we didn't do. We mostly just kind of drove the loop. That's really what we did at Yellowstone, too, where we drive, stop, walk around, do little hikes here and there. We were not, like, Avalanche Lake hike was, like, out and back about 5 miles, and we were not equipped to do things like that every single day. We could do some here and there, but it was just, that was not the kind of trip we were on. So we would get out and do little things. But at the Grand Tetons, they had like a really pretty boat ride across the lake. I get motion sickness, and it was freezing cold. So we didn't do that. And they had some other like hikes where it's like, hey, this hike is easy, but it's also 10 miles. And some of them were just not what we were ready to do at that point. So we did a lot more of the driving and stopping and enjoying it. And we did find another cross-stitch kit. So this one is much smaller. It's probably going to be one of the first one of the first kits like this that I do, because it is very small, but it is just a little cross stitch of the Grand Tetons. So 3 for 3. After that, we drove a long day of driving, I believe it was, to go from the Grand Tetons to South Dakota, where we could go see Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore had nothing. I mean, it obviously had presidential heads and things like that. And we had a great time. We got a copy of Thomas Jefferson's ice cream recipe and sat down and had ice cream at 8:30 in the morning because we got there early to make sure we could see everything before it got crowded. And then we came back again at night for when they light everything up. So we got to have ice cream that morning and again that evening. But they did not have any craft kits at all there, which was very sad. While we were there, we also drove a little bit farther over to see a monument that they are currently in the works of doing. The Crazy Horse Memorial. So it's going to be similar to Mount Rushmore, but different. So it is in progress. It has been in progress for, I want to say officially it said it started in 1970, but the idea was conceived before that by one of the guys who was helping to carve Mount Rushmore in coordination with local native tribes. And they picked a mountain in the Black Mountains, and they are carving Crazy Horse on his horse as a memorial for Native Americans, the culture that was eradicated. Sounds a little bit extreme, but probably not entirely off. It is going to be huge. And we got to walk through, we got to see the video. We did not go all the way up because it is technically an active construction zone, but they have the face and they're working on arm with the hand pointing out, and they've got like the fingers done, and it's so cool to see it partway through. They had a cross stitch of what it is going to look like when it's done. It's interesting because it is very clearly the same people who did the Grand Tetons, but I didn't find one for Mount Rushmore. I don't know. Maybe I will look up this particular brand. I did look up on Etsy to find other options. This is another one that's probably going to be an earlier one because it is very few colors, very simple, but like if you go out to Mount Rushmore, it is definitely worth the drive. It's probably 40 minutes or so away, but it's definitely a really good, it's a beautiful monument that they're currently working on, but it's also all privately funded, so going and touring helps them to continue funding making this monument, and they're making so much progress. Like, shockingly enough, there's not a lot of equipment for carving in mountains, so they're kind of having to figure it out as they go, but you can also see as technology improves how much more progress they are able to make. Hold on, I need to go let my dog in the room, or she's going to keep scratching at the door nonstop. Okay, so after the day that we went to Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse, we had one more kind of travel-y day before we were starting to travel home. And if you're not aware, we were decently close to the Badlands National Park. Very, very interesting place. Absolutely gorgeous. It was another one of those places where we would drive through a lot and then do shorter walks. They have some longer hikes, but it was also a really, really hot day. So we did like 2 or 3 of them where we would be going for like a mile or so at a time. And then we'd be back in our car instead of like the long 7 or 8 mile ones. They did not have a cross stitch or an embroidery kit. I don't know. Maybe I will look up this brand that 2 of them are the same brand and see if I can find other ones there. But what I did find is crocheting the national parks. I do already have a book that is knitting the national parks, and I want to say it's a separate book that is all like hats. It could be the same book. It could be Knitting the National Parks is all the hats, and then there's another book that's very similar. I will have to double check. I don't wear a lot of hats, so I know I could technically just make myself a hat from that, and I might make my husband and I hats from that based on where we went. I don't know. I haven't decided. We talked about maybe wanting to go to like a yarn store so I could get something where we could have matching hats for the winter from it, but weirdly enough, we never ran across a yarn store in the middle of national parks. It's very weird. But this is one I hadn't seen before. It is something that I thought was really cool, but also it had a couple of little things that disappointed me. I love that it is all crochet projects, so it's a little different, and they're all different kinds of projects. So like there's amigurumi, shawls, bags. They have this cute little thing. Let me see if I can find a better picture than that one. It is a planter holder that is a crocheted turtle. Like, it's got a lot of variation in the projects. And with it being crochet versus knitting, it's just a whole different thing. Some of them are a little faster. The only thing that I would find disappointing about this one, they do have the Badlands in here, but it's not all of the national parks. So, like, the other national parks project books I have are... brain is absolutely gone. Sorry. The other ones that were like hats and things like that, it's every single national park. This is 20 projects, so you're not getting one from every national park. And that's the only thing that I would say that is even kind of disappointing is realizing, oh, okay. Well, and some of them it's like, okay, this is from the Yellowstone. It's a grand prismatic crossbody bag. I think that that's a very pretty bag, but I'm not sure that I would bother making that because I don't think I would wear that. So it's one of those where I got it, I like it, and there's things in here I will absolutely love and will probably make. I cannot find the Badlands now. But whether I will make everything or not is definitely not really the point. Part of the point is just that I enjoyed it, I will make some of them, and I like that I have it. Oh, here we go. Ah, it's gone. So yeah, for the Badlands, they do have this little amigurumi prairie dog. And so it's like, I thought about just making that from the book that I got in the Badlands to cover my Badlands part of this, but I don't know, all the other projects that I was able to find are cross stitch or embroidery. So it's like, if I could find one that was also suitable to be a wall hanging, I feel like that would be a little bit better, but we'll see. So that was a lot of everything. Yep, everything just fell on the floor. Sorry. So that was our trip. I know there's a whole bunch of details that I am not including in there, but part of it is if you haven't driven to all of those places or tried to see 4 different national parks and 2 monuments in that time, it was a lot. We saw a lot. It was amazing. We took a bunch of pictures. We had a lot of fun. It was an amazing trip that was just so hard to sum up, and to a point, it's kind of fun to keep some of it as just those happy memories that we have. But coming back, I have these projects that are now 4 works in progress. 2 of them are close-ish to done. The socks are almost half done. The shawl, I'm on color number 13, so we're actually getting close to halfway done. So there's that kind of push to get things moving, partially because I have a lot and I'd like to get them done and off the needles, but also because now, like, my brain somehow thought, because we were on a road trip and I got a lot of work done on that road trip, but like I was going to come back with all 3 of the projects I brought completely finished. I brought the socks, I brought the shirt, and I brought the shawl, and somehow in my mind they should all be done by now because I had a whole week. Why are they not all done? Which is insane. But because of that, I'm not quite ready to move into, like, I'm both ready and not ready to move into another project. I kind of have a pattern I would like to do upcoming selected, but I don't know which yarn I would use. And my house is still a mess from when we had leaking a month ago. So we are kind of in this weird limbo where the leaking and everything is done. That is all done. They have dried everything out, but we have to wait for insurance to process everything in order to cover up the holes in my house. So my poor child, whose roof was leaking, still has this massive hole in her ceiling, and naturally she doesn't want to sleep under that. We're still down 1 bathroom and have a hole in my craft room, so everything is still spread all over the place. So starting a new project is just not practical. I cannot easily wind up new yarn right now. I could get to my stuff and move it somewhere else, but it's better to just finish the projects that I have. But then the other issue that I have is it's hard for me to go through and see what I have. So like I would really like to make, I believe it's the Bay Day tee by Little Wolf Knits. I bought the pattern recently. It should take a couple of skeins of yarn, and I'm thinking I might do like something else for ribbing just to help stretch that yarn a little bit, because I am not really a crop top person. 2 skeins of yarn might not be enough to not make it crop top. I'll look at the yardage and everything a little bit more, but I don't know if I have 2 skeins of a single yarn that I can pull into this shirt, because I don't know what I have. I can't easily access everything. I don't have a lot of 2 skeins to make a shirt, and I'm really in that like rough place where it's like I want to prioritize using what I have, but I also want to make garments that I don't want to all be striped in order to only use what I have. So I'm kind of in this weird limbo. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm trying to like both focus on finishing these projects so that I can start something else, but also I'm really ready for something brand new. So that was definitely a ramble about project planning. But the long and the short of it is, in a couple weeks when I film again, you should probably expect me to basically still be working on the same projects. Hopefully done with at least 1 of them, maybe 2. But I wouldn't expect me to be on to another gigantic project until my house starts to get back in order. And I'm really hoping that will be soon. So that is all that I have for today. I've definitely entered ramble mode. Thank you all for coming along on this journey with me. And until we speak again, have a very happy making.